And now to the courthouse version of it can only happen in New York. 1 year ago, Sheldon Silver and Dean Skelos were two of the most powerful politicians in New York State. The Assembly Speaker and State Senate President comprised 2/3 of the so-called three men in the room. Well, back then, the complaints were they just had too much power. Today, that complaint is a criminal one, as each accused of profiting from their positions. Now, the trials of both men continue today in Lower Manhattan, and that's where on Dominic Carter joins us once again live there tonight. Dominic, the floor is yours.
Well, Richard, developments are breaking as of right now, as of this hour. Inside the federal courthouse behind me, at this late hour for court, Sheldon Silver is still inside. The breaking news as it relates to these two trials today, the prosecution has just completed its case. The prosecution has rested its case, the government, against Sheldon Silver. And so court will resume on Monday. As for Dean Skelos, the other trial, one could make a case Mr. Skelos had a rough day. The senator, according to the feds, allegedly used his position to squeeze companies in need of legislative support and leaned on Nassau County to give company Abtech a $10 million stormwater contract to help his son. The first witness of Floral Park testified that Adam was a no-show who had a sense of entitlement, arrogance. He said, "You know who I am? I'm Adam Skelos." Adding this morning that Adam Skelos angrily lashed out, "Guys like you couldn't shine my shoes." The defense has admitted that Adam was sometimes immature, emotional, nasty, and rude, describing him as a young man trying desperately to be a success and doing so in the shadow of a successful father, but argues prosecutors should not be allowed to make the case about the son's personal weaknesses. The prosecutor has raised this question about the companies Dean Skelos dealt with. Quote, did they hire Adam because he was the right person or because they were afraid the Senate Majority Leader would punish them? And Richard, I want you to take a look at something as we attempted tonight to ask Mr. Skelos some questions.
Sorry, no comments tonight. Thank you, though. Thank you. No comments
Mr. Skelos,
tonight.
can you just tell us how you feel about the trial?
Like a gentlemanly photo.
Mr. Skelos, can you tell us how you feel about the trial? Just one soundbite, Senator.
No comments tonight.
Just a short time ago, Dean Skelos, as he left court tonight. Again, Richard, in conclusion, this is still very much going on court tonight. Sheldon Silver, the former Speaker of the Assembly, is still inside. The prosecution and defense counsel, they're debating some technicalities. The Silver trial continues on Monday. The Skelos trial continues tomorrow morning. That is it for now, Richard. Let's go back to you.
Hey, real quick, Dom, if you're a betting man, I know you've asked counsel for Silver as well as Shelley himself. After the prosecution, now that you've heard their case, does defense even put on a case or do they rest?
$1 million question, Richard. Thank you for asking it. I wish I had a crystal ball to answer the question. They might put on a short case, but no matter how you look at this, this is going to the jury next week. Mr. Silver's fate will be decided very soon. I just want to tell you this, Richard, some interesting wiretaps played today in the Skelos trial that makes Dean Skelos and Adam Skelos look very bad.
Good enough, Dom. Thank you very much here. Let me bring in the panel, guys. First off, Jimmy, everything we've heard here, honestly, I thought there'd be more in the case presented by Silver. Now, there was compelling testimony, I thought, in the emails that Tal put forward. But for a guy who got immunity, when asked the question of was there ever a quid pro quo, he said no. And then you had some of the conversations from Brian Miro, who was a lobbyist who felt, you know, I don't want to get on the wrong side of Silver because I'd be punished, but it seems circumstantial at this point. There wasn't the smoking gun I thought there'd be against Silver. he could walk.
You know how I feel about this case. There was no direct evidence. It is circumstantial. I think that the doctor did not give damning evidence against Mr. Silver. Not only is there no evidence of a quid pro quo, which they may not even need.
Well, they need it for the extortion.
For the
charge.
extortion, there wasn't a quid pro quo.
Oh, we can debate that, and I think we will on the other side of the break.
No. I'm not saying there wasn't in reality. I'm saying in terms of the trial evidence, the doctor made clear that there wasn't a quid pro quo. I did what I did because I expected and hoped he'd do this. That's not a quid pro quo.
Well, wait. What we're going to do is we're going to have this conversation on the other side of the break here. We'll talk about this, plus also some of the wiretaps and how that's going to impact the Skelos trial. And apparently, one of the two Skeloses went to the feds and said, can I have a plea deal? Could we have seen son flip on dad? We'll talk about more on that and after this.